And coming up this morning, Finance Minister designate vows to abolish betting tax and e-levy in his first budget, arguing it has not generated expected revenue in the economy.
The tax will not solve the problem. Here we are today, have been vindicated. Has the tax solved the problem as intended by the government? Big no. I insist that that tax must be abolished. And as Minister of Finance, my first budget, I will abolish the betting tax.
Also coming up, Minister of Justice and Attorney General designate Dr. Dominic Ayine defends creation of oral committee, insisting the mandate is legal and constitutional.
So oral is constitutional, oral is legal. In fact, the fact that it is a non-legal body doesn't mean that it is illegal.
Later in the bulletin, Minister-designate for Energy John Jinapor reveals plans by government to merge the Volta River and the Bui Power Authorities when given the nod as a minister.
Your answer to the question. Thank you, Chairman. That proposed measure is on our table, except that our approach is different. We believe that we can merge Bui Power and VRA.
We've got the details of all these stories and more coming up shortly, but first, let's remind you of our affiliate stations across the country.
Starr News is coming to you live on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi, Empire 102.7 FM in Takrady, Zeps 95.9 FM in Zebila, Nissim 100.1 FM in Lamshao, My Star Radio in the USA. Also live on Facebook on Starr 103.5 FM and on starfm.com.gh around the world. This is Starr 103.5 FM. Starr News. Informed, in-depth, in touch.
Many thanks to you for choosing Starr News. I am Nurein Abass. Now, Finance Minister designate Dr. Kaisel Atuforsen has vowed to abolish the betting tax and the e-levy in his first budget when he is approved as minister. According to him, the two taxes have not generated the expected revenue and had insisted burdened Ghanaians. Speaking before the Appointments Committee of Parliament, Dr. Forson said the current betting tax has failed to achieve its intended objectives and should be scrapped.
I retorted by saying that that will not solve the problem. That will not solve the problem because I've read a number of articles, and the article presupposes or suggests that it is destroying our youth. And so if you want to introduce a tax, you have to first look at the elasticities, and as to whether the elasticities will mean that imposing such a tax will prevent the individual or the people concerned from the staking of the VAT of the betting or not. But I doubt that that will. And so if you intend doing that, the best option is to ban it and not to introduce a tax. And I said the tax will not solve the problem. Here we are today, I've been vindicated. Has the tax solved the problem as intended by the government? Big no. I insist that that tax must be abolished. And as Minister of Finance, my first budget, I will abolish the betting tax. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You heard the Finance Minister designate Dr. Kaisel Atuforsen. Now, Minister of Justice and Attorney General designate Dr. Dominic Ayine has defended the creation of the Operation Recover All Loot Oral Committee, insisting the mandate is legal and constitutional. The committee, which has begun receiving information of alleged state capture and looting, has been criticized as being illegal. But responding to these assertions during his vetting, the Bogatanga East MP argued that although its mandate may not be legally enshrined in the Constitution, the committee's work is not illegal and is in tandem with the Constitution's call for accountability.
The question whether oral is legal has been raised by various people within the media. Oral is the Operation Recover All Loot. If you look at the preamble to the Constitution, it is very, very clear about what are the fundamental values underpinning the Constitution. The value of accountability is one of the preambular commitments in our Constitution. It's a primary value. Oral is supposed to exact accountability from persons either politically exposed or persons holding public office who used or misused their office to loot public resources by way of property money and other intangible resources. So oral is constitutional, oral is legal. In fact, the fact that it is a non-legal body doesn't mean that it is illegal. There is a distinction between non-legality and illegality.
Dr. Ayine further proposed some administrative reforms to deal with the workload of the Supreme Court.
We should have procedural mechanisms that will sieve out all the frivolous appeals so that the justices are not burdened. One way is also to increase the numbers, but then the court itself, through the administrative, the exercise of the administrative powers of the CJ, should divide itself into specialized divisions, right? So you can have the Supreme Court Constitutional Division, and you have 5 justices very specialized in constitutional law who will quickly deal with these matters, and so on and so forth. You have some of them who are experts in criminal law, like my former teacher, Justice Henrietta Mensah-Bonsu. She could lead a panel of justices who will be dealing with criminal appeals. So specialization may make the court more efficient, and then the burden on the court will be reduced. But that would mean, for instance, that instead of 11, we may have 15, so that 5 each, could deal with, because the court is properly constituted with the Chief Justice and 4 other justices of the court.
You heard Attorney General and Minister of Justice designate Dr. Dominic Ayine. On to energy, the Minister designate John Abdullah Jinapor has revealed plans by the government to merge the Volta River and Bui Power authorities into a single entity to be known as the Ghana Power Company. The move forms part of government's plans to consolidate key players in Ghana's energy sector to boost efficiency and ensure strategic management of the national energy resources. John Jinapor made these revelations when he appeared before the Appointments Committee of Parliament.
Thank you, Chairman. That proposed measure is on our table, except that our approach is different. We believe that we can merge Bui Power and VRA so that you have something like Ghana Power Company or whatever. We do not intend to privatize. So when you merge them, you have a holding company and 3 subsidiaries: hydro components, thermal components, and renewable components, all under one umbrella, but controlled by both VRA and Bui. They will determine how they want to run it. They will determine how they want to move with it. We do not intend to privatize any of those plants because they produce about 45% of our national requirement. And as a strategic step, you do not put all your energy assets in private hands. So let me assure the workers, we'll consult them. This is just an idea that we intend to implement. If we need to tweak it, we will do that with them and bring about efficiency. Thank you.
You heard Minister of Energy designate Dr. John Abdullah Jinapor. Now, the controversy with the National Cathedral project appears not to be dying down with the exit from office of the Akufo-Addo-led government, the subject matter which led to a running battle between former President Akufo-Addo and some Ghanaians who criticized him for prioritizing the project over other pressing issues resurfaced over the weekend when President Mahama announced plans that his administration may consider relocating the construction site of the National Cathedral. At a Thanksgiving service, Mr. Mahama noted that his administration would conduct an audit of the project, which didn't see the light of day under the NPP government.
On the vexed issue of the National Cathedral, the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice directed government to audit the project and investigate any misuse of public funds. Government is enjoined to follow this directive and will soon activate such an investigation into the project. But on the future of the project, the cathedral, I believe that all of us as Christians must forge a consensus on how to achieve such a project without recourse to public funds. In the current circumstances that Ghana is going through, it makes no sense to achieve such a project at a whopping sum of $400 million. Such a reconsideration of this project might even include changing the current site that was chosen for the project.
Now, President John Dramani Mahama has proposed the deployment of fire tenders at night and installations of CCTV surveillance for major markets across the country. According to him, this forms part of a broader strategy to enhance market security and protect livelihoods. Addressing leadership of the Kantamanto market during a meeting following a devastating fire that destroyed hundreds of shops in Accra's central business district, John Mahama explained the move is to ensure quick responses to emergencies and aiding investigations.
We held a meeting with the security heads today to see how we can tighten security around all the major markets in order to prevent any such occurrence. Just this morning we heard about Techiman Market to a fire in Techiman Market. So it looks like it's something that is going to continue, and so we need to take quick steps. And so I've asked the security to arrange with the various security services to tighten security around major markets. In addition to that, we are asking the National Fire Service in the nights, because these fires take place in the night, and that's what gives us room for suspicion that there are people who are deliberately doing this. In the daytime, you don't hear that there's a fire anywhere. How the fire can decide that it's only in the night that it ignites and burns, I mean, it's beyond anybody's imagination. And so the second is we are asking the fire service where there are major markets to deploy their fire tenders close to the markets in the night, so that in the event of a fire outbreak, they are right there on the scene to be able to quench it before it causes any damage.
You had President John Dramani Mahama. And on that note, we end the breakfast news this morning. When you log on to starfm.com.gh, you'll find more news updated there. I am Nurein Abass. Many thanks for your company. We have the sports team next with Sports Chat. Do have a lovely day.